if you're looking at the shake-up, for instance, especially in the light of that letter we saw in December, who's the people saw this coming? Is there an appointment period or time frame for service chiefs as well? And, you know, who's the people think that this is a gale of retirement was also in the light of that letter?
When you change service chiefs, there are a lot of things I think. I don't want to speak for the president because I don't know the criteria that we're using this. But I think there is a time frame. Your age in service, your time in service, and of course the backlog that you might create if you stay too long as a service chief. If you go back just a little bit, about 3 years, if you have the Chief of Defense Staff and the Chief of Army Staff in office, you start finding appointments like admirals, air vice marshals, and major generals having been appointed to offices that do not commensurate with their ranks. That is what you find. You have a clog where you have a major general being appointed to defense headquarters as a director. And you know, those appointments themselves don't motivate 2 stars or 2-star generals. So I think those are the things that you need to consider. At the military hierarchy, you need a kind of a pinnacle which looks like 2-sided triangle. You do not need a structure where the top will be heavy and the bottom will be heavy. You need to have this fine pinnacle where you have the 4-star at the top, 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 star, and of course the colonels and the rest, or the captains and the rest. But when you have a situation where you have a top-heavy military, it doesn't do well for command and control and for discipline. So these are the considerations.
So what we have now, does it fit into what we should have?
I think it should fit in to an extent. It should fit in. The military has its way. It's an institution that has come a long way. And I think that having appointed the new service chiefs, those that are similar to him, I think, will have to leave so that he can have effective command and control of the various services. They can have control of their services.
Oh, still looking in that direction, in the direction of retirement, you know, one would also ask, oh, what is the welfare for those who, you know, have truly spent their time in service, not at the top now, but for the ordinary soldier. Joe, wasn't too long ago that we celebrated Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Are we doing well for our legions that have retired?
There's a lot to it about welfare of ex-servicemen, but I think that the Nigerian Legion, within the ambit of the act that established it, has done well. If we go back to a little history here, the Nigerian Legion was established by an act of parliament in 1964. Then we had regions, and so even if it had a headquarters, it had the headquarters in Lagos, it had this regional headquarters also, regional headquarters. By 1975, it was revised, so to cope with the creation of states. And I think the last revision, if you look at the books again, was in 1988. And you find its only source of revenue, as of now, was the collation of monies through the sale of puppies. And of course, it had other mandates like establishing welfare schemes, etc., for her members. If you were registered, it also had, you know, schemes in which it sponsored some of the children of members of the Legion to schools, etc. So it did its best within that.
Did you say the sale of puppies?
Yes, that was the remembrance emblems. That was the remembrance emblem, or puppies.
Yes, I know that the UK, United Kingdom, you know, they sell puppies. I didn't know that Nigeria also sold puppies.
It's the same puppies, the same remembrance emblems, the red stuff we put on our shirts during the period.
And nobody gets to see them around these days.
I think the last set I saw was at the airport, really. That's the opportunity they have to generate funds for the Legion.
But it hasn't caught on in the country yet, has it?
You know, I was privileged to really work with them when I was Chief of Administration in 2005 as Commodore. And it could be difficult for them. We have 36 states and the federal capital now. And those are sub-branches of the Legion. If you look at that source of generating fund, over time, people get donor fatigue. Wow. You know, in those days when they started, states used to announce what they donate to the Legion. These days you don't find those announcements, which means that the amount being donated is beginning to reduce, and of course you know why. And surprising too, you said you didn't even get to see the people selling the emblems. That means that if you look at the issue of their generating revenue from that particular source, which is part of the mandate in the Act, then we might be having some problems. Remember too that for the Legion itself, the numbers are increasing daily. So we need to fashion a new mode of sustaining the Legion and its mandate. However, within the services, we do have the Department or the Directorate of Veteran Services, Veteran Affairs. They look after the welfare of the retired. You get your pension and gratuity, and of course, you get to touch base with the services, and they look after you. They make sure that your pension come on time. You remember also that the military pension itself has exited from the National Pension Scheme, so that it can cater for this category of people. Having said that, in 2011, I got a letter inviting me to the Ministry of Defense as a member of a committee to look at the establishment of a National Veteran Foundation. I think it was a very good move because the foundation itself will sit atop the Legion, work out policies, look at what is desirable for veterans. We are asked to look at what happens in other climes in the world. And I think one of the major tasks of foundations these days is to look clinically and research into the issues of post-traumatic stress disorder. That has been the major role foundations have been playing for veterans or ex-servicemen. The other ones is to bring to bear a board where you have very distinguished Nigerians. And I think at that point in time, because I discussed with my peers before the inauguration, we're looking at membership of the board to include people like General Gowon, General Danjuma, Chief Emeka Nwoku, Alhaji Dangote, Mr. Lumelu of Hairs. But surprisingly, after the inauguration, inaugurated by the Permanent Secretary then in 2011, I never got called back for any of the meetings. I hope that the committee went on to work, because it would have upped the ante for the Legion. You would have gone out there to create a council above the foundation, where you would have had as patron to that council.
I just wanted to check
in, Commander-in-Chief.
Before we lose train of thought, I mean, this PTSD, are they likely to experience it in this fight against insurgency?
It's possible. You don't have any particular spectrum of what kind of combat or what kind of contest or what kind of complaint where you have PTSDs.
Because it's very, very important, especially in life outside service. Yes. It is important because it is an example I see of you that can actually make me a better service personnel when I'm still in service. If someone takes a look at some other people and you say, well, this is Rear Admiral retired, and you see the plight he or she is going through, you wouldn't want to give your all to the nation, because the nation hasn't actually taken care of those people that have actually fought for the nation. So that is why we're trying to look at all of this. Now, you were once the ADC to late IHOMO. I think that was in between 1988? 89. Okay, pretty long.
Late 88 and very early 90.
Pretty long time. And you went on to be retired as a Rear Admiral, a fantastic career there. Is it same for almost everyone there? What are the opportunities for these people who are military?
The military,
in terms of education, school, and maybe life after service?
Defense management and military management has three facets. First, the recruitment, getting the best to do the job. The second aspect is managing the recruit or the cadet from his time in service to when he retires. And then, of course, the third aspect is managing the personnel after service. Strategically, these structures are there. Recruitment, training, managing you in service, etc. Opportunities abound in the military for training, for making yourself available to service, and of course for enhancing yourself, empowering yourself professionally, and of course in terms of your improving yourself educationally. Those opportunities abound. The military, a noble profession, one of the prizes for nobility and service is professionalism. And the only way you can be proficient in your work in the military is through training. So the opportunities abound.